The Federal Trade Agreement of today is the most punishing campaign of deprivation ever conducted by an American government against the American people, and it is conducted both against businessmen and their workers. Since 1980, we have been reducing our tariffs and allowing every cheap wad manufacturer in a bamboo hut to ship his defective products to the United States free of tariff. Republicans call this learning to compete with the Chinese. But Chinese and Mexican manufacturers live in a society where labor is cheap and life is cheaper. They don't bother to meet environmental codes, they don't bother with safety inspections, and they don't pay their workers a living wage. The poverty line in the United States is about $20,000 per year. A Chinese can get by on $1,000 per year. And there are 4 times as many Chinese workers as American workers. So an American worker earning $1,000 a year must still be 4 times as productive as a desperate Chinese worker before we will be able to, as our politicians tell us, compete with the Chinese. Our country is so badly managed that no investor will finance the startup of a manufacturing plant. The present regime forces manufacturing plants to close in the United States and reopen their operations in foreign countries. Because manufacturing plants are leaving and no new manufacturing plants are being started by investors, 60% of manufacturing jobs, which provided steady, stable salaries in 1979, have vanished from the country in 27 years. All those unemployed by factory closures go to service sector business. They are now 80% of the economy. But their customer base is drastically reduced. They have lost all those closed factories and all those well-paid manufacturing workers. As a result, the service sector is generally unprofitable and unproductive, and service sector salaries are very low. In their staged and phony debates, our politicians exclude the realities of our economy and create a list of hot-button issues and sound bites to distract us from the overall cause of the social problems in the United States. Here is the truth. Our economy is in decline because of favoritism to the wealthy. Both our parties have sold out the economic future of the United States to get campaign funds from billionaires. As a result, 60% of the manufacturing companies and jobs which existed here in 1979 are gone. And 80% of working Americans have been forced into the service sector, making it overcrowded and overcompetitive, with a reduction of its customer base equal to 30% of the United States economy in only 27 years. Both parties have conspired. They call it compromise, but in the end result of their conspiracy is they have given unfair competitive advantage to foreign manufacturers and to those U.S. companies which moved their jobs to a foreign country. Everything our government does is intended to drive down your earnings, minimize your prosperity. A politician will look you in the eye and tell you, we have to learn to compete with China. Raise your hand if you think any politician will support price controls on the oil industry, landlords, and food producers so that you can survive on a salary of $4 a day. Frankly, this is not the way the world works, and the Democrats should be telling you that with every breath. But the Democrats are a house divided. They are like an Italian coalition government, and they would not know a good political strategy if it fell on them from a great height. The Republicans are united. They cooperate, but they are cooperating against you, whether you are labor or management, business owner or investor. If your financial interest, if your life and earnings are inside the United States, Republicans have cooperated to reduce your profitability since 1980. Listen to what has happened since Ronald Reagan was elected. Negative trade deficits, rolling recessions, seesawing interest rates, the vanishing American pension, corporate fraud, the savings and loan meltdown and the government buyout, hostile takeovers, leveraged buyouts, so many bankruptcies they changed the bankruptcy law, layoffs, early retirement, the coming disappearance of the Social Security system, the present-day disappearance of medical coverage, and the phenomenon of putting sick people in an ambulance and dumping them in a city park. People. All this happened during the Great Depression, and it is happening again today. Actually, we can have prosperity in this country, but we need to rebuild the manufacturing sector to a level of 50% of the total economy. The charter of EPA needs to be rewritten so that EPA becomes a licensing and service organization, licensing and helping each new manufacturer and inspecting the environmental protection and remediation systems necessary to protect the environment from toxins and waste generated by the manufacturing process. Right now, EPA refuses to advise or provide information to small businessmen who want to build a production facility. We should mandate EPA to provide a library of technical information on environmental protective technology or remediation systems and the sophisticated engineering information needed to size and design such systems to minimize the investment cost of the required environmental protection for every factory. This should all be carried on an EPA website so that the American small businessman and the engineering consultants he must hire can go online and get the information they need. We need to charge a tariff on imported products and sub-assemblies to encourage our investors to help us rebuild our vanishing manufacturing sector. High school graduates are 73% of our population, and we need them steady, stable jobs to give them a chance to pinch off a piece of the American dream. We need to get men out of the service sector. We need to give men all-day jobs. We need to work them hard all week long so they can go home tired and well paid and stop wasting their lives on drugs and hip-hop and tailgate parties. We need to give our military men a raise so their families do not end up homeless and starving when they are overseas. We judge our success by the almighty dollar, so we need to give a few more of those dollars to the guys who make it possible for the rest of us to kick back on weekends. We need to make all salaries in this country more rewarding, and we can do that by establishing a tax code which does not grant special favors to billionaires and their companies. Our politicians mismanage us and sell us out for money. Due to the mismanagement of both parties, 80% of American business owners experience reduced earnings due to overcrowding of the service sector and the disappearance of 60% of the manufacturing sector. So the customer base for service business is reduced to 40% of what it was in 1979, and the service sector is almost double the size of what it was in 1979. That's bad management. Imagine a river in Africa. Take 60% of the fish out of the river and double the number of crocodiles. Soon you will notice the large crocodiles are eating all the small crocodiles. My name is Quixote. The same thing happens when you starve out the entire business community.